Can everyone hear me? Thumbs up if you're hearing me good. Mr. Payon, good? All right, awesome. Okay, I am so excited to be here this morning, guys. I am at the Payload Operations Center, which is a NASA facility for the International Space Station, which is awesome. My inner kid who wanted to be an astronaut when I was younger is so excited right now. So I'm so excited for the chat that we're going to get to see today. We'll wait just a longer to get as many people in as we can, and we'll also be recording. I wanted to ask, though, I know we have Dr. Nichols on here with us this morning. Dr. Nichols, did you want to say anything quickly before we get going?
There we go. Thank you, Rachel. And I think I'm unmuted. First of all, I want to thank Rachel and Russell, and thank Tommy and our partner there at NASA, as well as all of you that are online and watching this opportunity today. I want to thank Rachel and Russell and our team for all the work they put in for Computer Science Week and this opportunity to give you this Zoom to see this outstanding presentation. And I just am excited. I'm here with you, and I'm as excited as Rachel is. Growing up as a kid in the 60s and watching Gemini and Mercury and Apollo, and then all the things in the last 3 decades, it's very exciting to be part of this today. So thank you so much, Tommy, Rachel, and all that worked on this.
All right, thank you, Dr. Nichols. And guys, bear with me. This is my first time ever doing a WebEx from my phone, so I'm having to kind of naggle around and make sure I know what's going on. But I'm going to introduce our speaker today. We are so excited today. We have Mr. Luke Bingaman with us. He's sitting right up here in front of me. And so I am not even going to attempt to explain what he does, but I'm going to flip my camera around so that you can see him. He's going to talk a little bit with you guys about his role and how computer science is very important to what he does here for the International Space Station. He's going to give us a little bit of a tour, and then I think he's going to have me try something out in a little bit, so I'm a little bit nervous. But I'm going to hand it over to Mr. Bingaman now.
So hello, I'm Mr. Bingaman. I'm a Payload Operations Director here at the Space Center. And my job is really to lead the team that helps all of these scientists throughout the world do their science on one of only 2 space laboratories that's up there floating around, and they can do all sorts of things in microgravity that they cannot do on Earth, just because they don't have to deal with gravity. And we use computer science, we use computers to do almost everything we do from the ground here, supporting all those science operations, because we're not physically there, so we can't look at the hardware, we can't look at all the buttons and the lights and see what's going on, what's working and what's not. So right here, these are some of the displays we use. And this one up top, this is the MSRR. It's the Material Science Research Rack. Material Sciences Lab is what we'll actually be seeing a little bit later. And everything you see on there is data coming from that facility on the International Space Station, which is 250 miles up and traveling at 17,000 miles per hour. So it's high and it's moving very fast. We can see whether it's powered, how much power it's using, how hot it is, everything from the ground, monitored in real time, so that the astronauts don't have to worry about it. This is a kind of a representation of our video system on board station. Each one of the brightly colored boxes you see around the outside is a different camera that they can turn on or off as they need to. And then it kind of shows how that signal is routed throughout everything on board, so they can bring it to the ground and we can watch what the astronauts are doing or get close-up views of the science experiments as they're doing the science in space. The rest of the displays are kind of boring, so I don't really want to talk to them about them right now, but all of these displays are designed and built here on Martian. We've got a team of computer engineers, computer scientists who built the backbone program for it. And then our experts, our SMEs, they actually use that program that was developed to build these displays and decide which telemetry, which parameters they need to see, and how it needs to be arranged on the screen so it all makes sense. Everything you see here is custom designed using computer engineering and some other people like human factors and other stuff so that we can do what we need to do. So next up, I'm going to move to the back a little. We're going to pause right here. This is some of our Hunch equipment. The Hunch program is a really cool program. It's one of my favorites in the area. It's the iSchools United with NASA to create hardware. And everything you see on this table was created by middle or high school students. And we use it. Some of it is still here as training aids, except for but some of it actually does go up into space. And it is used by the astronauts to do some really cool stuff. A lot of it makes their life easier. And as we move back into our lab area here, and this is kind of a mock-up of what the Destiny Lab onboard space station looks like. So it's actual size. This is one of the laboratories that the astronauts work in. If you look at it, look all around, we've got things off to the side, we've got stuff above us, we've got stuff below us. Our environment. So there is no up or down. And there are times they actually work with something that's on the ceiling or on the ground. And it's really weird because they have to turn the cameras and kind of just makes everything at home. You see these clamps right here are designed and built by Hunch students. Also, this Bogan arm that holds the cameras aboard station, again, designed and built by students and flown up to the International Space Station. So I think that's really cool. So if you remember, we saw the display with all the information about MSRR. This is a glass rack simulator, so it's a really cool touch screen that allows us to kind of see and go through what the astronauts do. So I have it set up, and I'm going to ask Ms. Gibbs if she wants to try to be an astronaut for a few minutes.
I definitely want to, but I'm nervous. All right, everybody. So cross your fingers for me. We're going to let Mr. Bingaman tell me what to do.
All right, so this procedure that we're going to run through is replacing one of the science samples in the station. And it's all going to be right here in the Material Sciences lab. So the first thing she'll have to do is she has to turn it a little bit. Yep, so that uncovers the cover. So she'll turn it. You can see it turned, and it revealed all of these screws. So now she'll need to unscrew the screws. Again, she can touch them. Yep. You can see the little tool going around. It's unscrewing all the screws for her.
I haven't messed it up yet.
All right, then the next step is she needs to remove the hatch. But if she tries it, so go ahead and click on the hatch. Yep. It's going to give her a little warning that we need to get a storage or a holding device from the tray 3. It's up here, so she'll go to the tray, find the holding device, and she installs it.
Right now.
Yep. And she installs it up here, right there. Now, when she opens that cover, it actually attaches that holding device and keeps it open. Want to keep going?
Yeah, what am I doing next?
All right. The next step is we need to get into the sample, which is in here. So disconnect that cable
Up here.
with the blue line. Yep, right there.
Okay.
Oh, it says we need the lid covers first.
Okay, so I need to go here. Ready?
Yep. So you can get the covers out. There they are. Now touch them and put them on the lid. Yep.
Okay.
Now once those are installed, and those are actually really important. It's a very important step for the astronauts to do because it provides or protects that surface, and we need a very, very tight seal because this facility is actually a furnace. So it burns things in there, and we want to make sure that nothing escapes. So now that's it's protected, the seal's protected. We can go on and move that cable. Yep, got that. Go ahead and,
Sample exchange.
that's what we're doing. Let's give it a nice close-up view. So we'll tap that cable. Oh, the actual cable. We need to move the cable. There we go. Now we need to unscrew. So we're trying to get in here. We'll need to unscrew the 2 screws, an A and B.
Okay.
And this is where it gets a little difficult. So I'm thinking
Gonna head back over. Okay.
Hand back over.
Awesome.
So this glass rack was actually designed and programmed again here at Marshall Space Flight Center. And then we have them for all of our racks here. And they're capable of multiple things. So in addition to going through the procedures and kind of pretending to be an astronaut, we can bring them up and have the picture that was taken by crew on board, and we can see exactly what they see. They update these pictures every 3 to 6 months, just so we can go through and we can check all the cabling and make sure everything's connected like it's supposed to be, safe, not framed, and do a whole bunch of other safety and security type things. And we do that throughout the station. Every single rack, we take pictures just like this, and then we review them. So we move back.
Guys, as we're moving, if you're thinking of questions, make sure you're talking with your teacher and add questions into the chat box. When we get towards the end of the chat, if we have time, we can ask Mr. Bingaman your questions.
So this much smaller module is one of our nodes. It is basically a 6-sided sphere cube that we use to connect all the modules together. So there's not a lot of room in them, but even then, we still have stuff installed all over the place. We have storage facilities like this, CSRs like this one, where the astronauts can store stuff. Back. And this is the last thing I'm really going to show you today before we start getting into questions. This is a mock-up of the Material Sciences glove box. You'll notice it's got little holes here the astronauts can reach their hands in. They've got gloves. They can manipulate things that are inside that rack. We do this because when we're dealing with things that are potentially dangerous, like shatterable, like glasses, other liquids, and other things, we want it all in somewhere where if it gets free and floats away, it's not going to float anywhere dangerous. It's all nicely contained in one safe area. This rack is designed and built here at Marshall Space Flight Center. That includes all of the software that runs them. And if you look up here top, you can see a display that gives us information. You've got each one of these switches. And these switches are all software switches, which means they're not mechanical switches. So when you move one, it doesn't do anything other than tell the computer in the back that a signal was sent and it needs to turn something on or turn something off. That coding, all of that software to run box, again, designed here, written here at Marshall by computer engineers and computer scientists. So with that, that's kind of the end of the tour. I think we can get on to any questions. If you guys want to see anything else closer, we can also do that.
Nice. Yeah, and I'll do another walk around too, guys, before we finish so you can kind of see things a little closer. I saw 2 questions pop up from some students in Mr. Smoke's class at Rainbow. So one of them was they wanted to know how many hours a week you work, and then they also asked what kind of education you need to work in space.
So, my typical week is about 40 hours. It does flex a little bit depending on what's going on. Sometimes I'll work 60 hours one week and then take a couple of days off the next week. You can only work 20. But it really does average out to about 40 hours a week, so a regular work week for us. The astronauts on board, they work, we schedule them for 6.5 hours of science and maintenance every day. But in addition to that, they've got to do all the cleaning. They've got to do 2 hours of exercising because they don't get to walk around and get exercise. So they have to actually schedule time to exercise in space. And just all of the other stuff takes up the rest of their day. But they do about 6.5 hours of work every day. At least that's what we try. Sometimes they end up doing. As far as education, I have a bachelor's degree in aerospace engineering. And really, all you need to work here at NASA is a bachelor's degree in any of the engineering or science fields. We have people who work here who used to be elementary school teachers with a degree in engineering. She's now one of our payload communicators, actually the lead of that team. So her job is to actually talk to the astronauts every single day and help guide them through the procedures, much like I was doing for Mississippi earlier.
Very cool. All right, so we've had lots of questions popping up. Let's see. I'm going to go to one of you guys asked how long does it take to make a rocket? Now, where we are right now is actually communicating with the space station, which is not a rocket. It's a little different than a rocket. I'm not sure if Mr. Bingaman has any background on how long it took them to put the space station together. Probably a pretty long time. I don't know if that's.
Yes, that space station is celebrated its 25th birthday yesterday.
Oh, awesome.
So 25 years and 1 day ago, we started putting the space station together in space. And it's been going that entire time with upgrades and new components and changing components out. But as far as rockets, because this is Marshall Space Flight Center, we are the premier rocket building and design place in the world. And you know a little bit about rockets. We've been working on these SLS for the better part of 10 years. It takes a long time to build and design new rockets. We do know a lot about rockets and how they work, but they are very, very complicated. And if you think about it, about 80% of any given rocket is fuel. And the entire point of that rocket is to ignite the fuels and then contain the explosion and get things into space. So it's very dangerous, and we have to be very exact in our work to make sure that we control it.
Someone else asked when we were doing the example over here with the simulator, they asked why it's important to have a tight seal.
So that is the Material Sciences Lab. It is a low-grade furnace, which means it burns things in vacuum and microgravity at temperatures of 400 or 500 degrees. And we need that tight seal so we can keep all of that heat inside. We don't want that getting out into the cabin and lighting anything on fire. Because they don't have a fire department. There's things get on fire up there, they've got to deal with it themselves, and it's a really bad day.
For sure. Okay, someone's asking, is this location open to the public?
So back here typically is not open to the public. We do have a viewing room. It's straight through that way. That is open to the public. And if you ever come through on a tour with the Space and Rocket Center, you'll get to go in that viewing room and you'll get to look back here.
Okay.
But so you do have to get a special tour to come all the way back here.
So you can do that through the Space and Rocket Center, which I'm sure most of you have been to. So it's possible to come and tour a part of the Marshall Space Flight Center that way. They asked, how do they get oxygen on board the ISS?
So a couple of methods. We do have CO2 scrubbers up there. And in fact, that's one of the science experiments that's going on almost constantly. They're always building new, we call it leakless hardware, CO2 scrubbers that can take the CO2 that the astronauts exhale, scrub the carbon out of it, and reintroduce it as oxygen. We do also have resupply flights. Most of those come up from the Russians on the Progress rockets, and they do come up with oxygen and nitrogen and other tanks as well, and kind of top off the supply. Try to keep as much of it as we can in-house and recycle it and scrub it as much as possible, so we don't have to fly more stuff.
All right, I got a good question from Ms. Giles' class. They asked about how many people work on the International Space Station and what inspired you to pursue this career?
So right now we've got 7 people on board, 3 Russians, and then the other 4 are the USOS complement. So they work with us, with NASA, with ESA, and JAXA. Those are our European and Japanese partners. And then during handover, so we'll send up 4 new people, and they'll have 2 to 3 weeks that they're there before the old people leave. So during those times, it gets a little bit crowded. We can have up to 12 or 13 people on station at any given for short periods of time. And why did I come work here? Because space is cool. New stuff, getting to explore new stuff is really cool. And I like science. I like learning new things. And this is a job where my entire job is to support scientists, pushing the boundaries, learning new things. It's a lot of fun.
Now, before you did this, Mr. Bingaman, you were in the military, correct?
Yes, I was in the Army before I came here and started this job.
Very cool. One other student asked how often things have to be reprogrammed.
So most of it, at least for the science stuff, it gets programmed on the ground and sent up, and then they do the experiment, and they bring it down to the ground, and they learn what they learned, and they write new programs to do the next experiment. Other things like MSG, because this is a facility, it stays up there and then different experiments go inside and do stuff. It is actually on its 5th or 6th version of software and upgraded components. But really, we have to update the software on most of our facilities anytime we add something, upgrade any of the hardware. You can't see it, it would be right here, but this does have a video drawer that has basically the components to put some cameras inside and then process that video and downlink it to the ground. That was upgraded a couple of years ago. And with that upgrade came a whole new suite of software.
Okay, one student asked, do you have to use anything special to take notes on experiments in space? How do you record data in space?
So most of it is recorded electronically via the computers. And a lot of it is actually imagery, so photos and videos of what's going on. We don't use anything proprietary or anything super secret about that. It's your standard MP3 and MP4 type files or PDF files or BMP, all the normal stuff that you would use. It just goes on a computer and then it's downlinked via the satellites.
All right. I think you kind of talked about this one a little bit really already with what we've been discussing, but someone asked how do you upgrade equipment on the ISS?
We upgrade stuff all the time, constantly looking at what is newer, better, cheaper, easier, lighter, work better for us. When the space station started, we could downlink about 25 megabits per second. That's not enough to do a whole lot of anything. We upgraded the communication systems and some of the other network devices on board, routers, wireless access points, all that stuff. And now we can downlink at 600 megabits per second. That's enough to watch 12 4K videos all at once. So that's pretty good.
Yeah, for sure. Someone asked if you've ever been to space before.
I have not been to space.
All right, any more questions, guys? I think I got through most of our questions. Some of them were kind of similar, so I may not have asked yours if it was very similar to something else. If you think of any other big questions, you can always email those to me, and I'm sure Mr. Bingaman won't mind if I pass those along to him and ask questions. I might do one more quick kind of walkthrough for you guys of this awesome facility, so you can kind of see what I'm seeing. Looks like my camera went out.
This is one of our melt beads. Just so you can kind of see it with this arm out of the way. Each one of these drawers goes down to minus 80 degrees centigrade. It gets really cold, and they use that to free samples. You can bring them back and study them as they were on the space station.
Oh, I see Dr. Nichols' hands up. Do you have a question, Dr. Nichols? Do I need to unmute you again? Okay, I'm sorry. Hang on. Okay, you should be getting that unmute request, and you can ask your question, Dr. Nichols.
Well, my question is, when we complete, I would like to do a little quick interview with you and Mr. Bingaman. That will be fine.
Okay, sure. So after our after the recording,
I would like to say thank you to Mr. Bingaman for taking his time for our students today, and it certainly has been very educational. And I know that we have many students out there who probably will have a future in this area in the future, a career in this area. And just thank him for showing us the real live version of computer science and how it's actually working, every day to improve our world and our country.
Yes, for sure. Thank you so much, Mr. Bingaman. This has been awesome. And I know there are lots of people who probably are having lunch right now or have other things going on in their schedule. So this link will be up for anyone who wants to watch later. We'll have that up. And guys, if you're watching now and you missed any of the other live chats earlier in the week, I'll be sharing all of those recordings tomorrow too. So you'll be able to watch any of those that you missed. But we're going to say bye to Mr. Bingaman. Thank you so much. Yeah, and Dr. Nichols, once I end this meeting, we'll get back on with you to do that interview. But guys, I'm going to go ahead and start I'm ending the meeting. You guys get on back to what you were doing at school, and thank you for tuning in for today's live chat. Have fun with the rest of the day of AI.